At Thanksgiving dinner, my cousin stood up and said, "When are you going to tell everyone you slept with my wife?" He walked out. Hours later, I found a hidden photo album on her phone. The people in it? Not who you think. Hey there. We're working hard to hit our first 1,000 subscribers. If you love true, emotional stories, hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know. Now let's get into the story. So, when are you going to tell everyone you slept with my wife? That's what my cousin said. Out loud. At Thanksgiving dinner. In front of our entire family. No warning. No build-up. Just that line. Cold. Blunt. Like he'd rehearsed it. Like he wanted to burn the whole damn house down. And I swear, for a second, the world actually stopped. We were in my aunt's dining room. 20 people packed around the table, still halfway through the first round of mashed potatoes. There were kids giggling in the living room, someone's dog barking outside, football playing low on the TV in the background, and then bam, dead silence. I looked up from my plate, fork still in my hand. My cousin Matt was standing now, arms crossed, eyes locked on me like a loaded gun. His wife, Emily, was sitting beside him, face pale, lips pressed tight. My brain didn't even process the words at first. I just stared at him like he was speaking another language. My wife, Lena, sitting next to me, dropped her glass. It shattered. That's when everything went straight to hell. Let me back up for a second. You gotta understand the setup here. This was our traditional family Thanksgiving. The big one. The one my aunt has been hosting for 20 years. People fly in from out of state. We cook for 2 days. There's always wine, arguments about politics, some uncle falling asleep during dessert, your classic chaotic but loving get-together. And for the most part, things were good that day. My cousin Matt and I grew up pretty close. We weren't exactly best friends anymore. He's more buttoned up, I'm more laid back, but we've always been cool. We talked fantasy football. We shared a few beers. He even helped me carry the extra folding chairs from the garage. So yeah, I had no reason to expect what came next. After he said it, the room just froze. Like time glitched out. My mom's mouth was hanging open. My uncle actually laughed. He thought it was a joke at first. But Matt wasn't joking. "Come on, Jake," he said again. "You gonna say something? Or should I just keep going?" I finally found my voice. "What the hell are you talking about?" He scoffed. "Don't play dumb. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You and Lena. Behind my back. For months." Now everyone was looking at her. My wife. Lena. And man, her face told me everything I needed to know. She didn't even try to deny it. Her eyes just went wide. She opened her mouth, then shut it. That silence. That 1 second of silence from her was the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life. Matt looked around the table like he was hosting a game show. You all thought I was crazy. You all said I was overthinking. But look at her. Look at him. Then he just shook his head, threw his napkin down, and walked out. Emily, his wife, got up a second later and followed him out the door. The rest of us sat there in total silence. It wasn't like the kind of silence you get when someone makes an awkward comment. This was the kind of silence that hangs. Like the air is heavier. Like everyone's lungs suddenly forgot how to breathe. My aunt tried to ask what was going on, but it came out as a whisper. Lena stood up, knocking her chair over, and mumbled something about "not here" and "can we talk later," and then bolted to the hallway. I stayed. I just sat there. Still. Numb. Because here's the thing. I hadn't slept with Emily. I swear to God, I hadn't even touched her. I'd barely even talked to her without Matt around. But that look on Lena's face, that's when I realized something else was going on. Something ugly. Something twisted. Later that night, when everyone was gone, I sat on the edge of our bed, staring at Lena's phone. She'd left it on the dresser without locking it. She was in the shower. I opened it. There weren't any texts. Nothing between her and Matt. No photos. Nothing obvious. But something told me to check the photo albums. She had one labeled "Work Stuff," hidden from the main gallery. I opened it. And that's when the bottom dropped out. There's a certain kind of sick feeling that crawls up your spine when you see something you weren't meant to see. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at Lena's phone like it was a grenade, and all I had to do was swipe left to make it explode. That hidden folder, "Work Stuff," wasn't even locked. It was just quietly tucked away in her albums, not visible unless you went digging. Which, that night, I did. Inside were exactly 47 photos. And my cousin Matt was in almost all of them. At first, I was confused. I thought, wait, maybe this is old. Maybe these are just family photos from years ago or something. But I started checking the timestamps. They weren't old. They were from last month. While she told me she was at a client's conference out of state. While I was home alone, heating up leftover chili and watching reruns, waiting for her FaceTime calls. She did call me, by the way. Said she was tired from meetings, said she missed me. Even sent me a couple of selfies, alone, smiling in a hotel lobby. But not these selfies. The photos I found. They were different. They weren't all explicit. There were no nude shots. Nothing over the top. But the vibe was all wrong. One photo was them sitting too close in a booth at some restaurant, wine glasses in hand, her legs across his lap. Another was her in a hotel mirror, taking a photo while Matt stood behind her, shirtless, brushing his teeth. Casual. Domestic. Comfortable. Like they'd done this before. Like this wasn't new. I don't remember much of what happened in the next 10 minutes. I know I just kept scrolling, hoping to find some sort of logical explanation that would make this whole thing make sense. A caption, a joke, anything. But it just kept getting worse. There was one that stopped me cold. It was Lena on a hotel balcony, hair tied back, coffee mug in her hand, and Matt's hand, resting on her thigh like it belonged there. It was intimate, like a moment a couple shares in the morning when they've spent the night together. Not a fling photo. This wasn't just sex. This was familiarity. Lena came out of the shower not long after, wrapped in a towel, rubbing her hair dry. She saw me holding her phone and froze. No words. Just frozen. I didn't say anything right away. I just looked at her. Not yelling. Not accusing. Just waiting. She sat down across from me. Didn't even try to take the phone back. Just said, I didn't want it to come out like this. And that told me everything. It started last spring, she said. Matt had been going through a rough time in his marriage. Emily had been distant. He was struggling, feeling unseen. Apparently, Lena started checking in on him. Texting at first, then phone calls, then lunches. Then, one night, they were both at a birthday dinner for Matt's sister, and they ended up alone in the kitchen. One thing led to another. She said it felt easy. Easy. That's the word she used. She looked me in the eye and said, it just happened. I didn't plan it. I asked her how long it went on. She hesitated, then said, it wasn't serious. Translation? It didn't stop. Not after one night. Not after 1 month. I asked if she loved him. She didn't answer. So I asked again. And she said, I don't know. I didn't lose my temper. Not then. Not even after all that. I just got up, grabbed my coat, and left the house. Drove around for a while. Ended up parked outside a gas station with a fountain soda in my lap, staring at the steering wheel. And then I did something I wasn't sure I should do. I called Emily, Matt's wife. I didn't know if she'd answer or even want to talk to me, but she picked up after 2 rings. Her voice was calm. Too calm. Like she'd been expecting the call. When I told her I knew, she said something I'll never forget. I'm glad you finally do. Because you're not the first person they've done this to. Wait, what? That's when she told me everything. That line hit me harder than anything Lena had said. You're not the first person they've done this to. I was still sitting in my car outside that gas station, gripping a cup of flat Coke like it was going to hold me together. Emily's voice on the other end of the line was so steady it was almost cold, like she'd already cried all her tears. Like she was past angry, past shocked. She was in the war zone part of betrayal, the part where you've accepted the bomb went off, and now you're just walking through the rubble figuring out how to bury the bodies. Emily asked if I was somewhere private. I said yeah. Then she said this. Matt and Lena didn't just happen, Jake. They're not some tragic love story or moment of weakness. They've been doing this. This is what they are. I didn't get it at first. I asked what she meant. That's when she told me about the first time. 2 years ago, Matt had a work retreat upstate. He was gone 3 nights. She didn't think much of it. He was in sales. Those retreats were regular. But when he came back, something felt off. He was weirdly happy. Lighter. A week later, she found a receipt for a hotel room booked under a different name. She confronted him, and he admitted he had a one-night stand with a co-worker he didn't name. He said it was meaningless. Drunken. Stupid. She forgave him. Fast forward 6 months, and Emily found texts on his iPad. Nothing explicit, just emotional. Deeply emotional. Matt wasn't just cheating physically. He was investing in someone else emotionally. He shut it down fast when she confronted him, even got defensive. But then, about a year ago, she caught him again. This time, it was Lena. Back then, she didn't tell me. She didn't tell anyone. She told Matt to cut it off, or she was gone. She gave him an ultimatum. He swore he would. Swore it was a mistake. swore Lena was the one who had pushed things too far. Lena, apparently, was married so it would never be serious. That was his excuse. Emily believed him. For a while. Until last month. That's when she saw a Venmo payment on Matt's account, sent to Lena, labeled Cabana Rental. Weirdest part? They were both supposed to be out of town, in opposite directions. So she checked Matt's location history. He never turned it off. And guess what? He was in the same hotel Lena was supposedly staying at for work. That's when Emily realized the affair never ended. And that's when she decided she wasn't going to stay quiet anymore. So why'd you blow it up at Thanksgiving? I asked her. Emily took a long breath, then said, because Matt swore up and down it was over. But he also said you knew, that you were cool with it. I nearly choked. What? Yeah, she said. He said it was something the two of you worked out. That you and Lena were in a weird place. That he was just helping her feel seen again. I had no words. That was a complete lie. I had no idea. I'd never even suspected. Emily knew he was lying, but she also wanted to see what he'd do if the secret came out. So she told him to either come clean to me and the family, or she would. She never thought he'd actually say it in front of everyone. But she let him, because she wanted it out. And now it was. That's when she said something else. Look, Jake, I know you're still in shock. I was too. But I'm not staying quiet anymore. I've already started gathering proof. Screenshots, recordings, transactions. I'm done playing nice. I asked her why she was telling me all this now. She said, because you deserve to know. And because if you're thinking of walking away quietly, don't. They don't deserve quiet. Then she asked me something I wasn't expecting. Do you want to help me bury them? I didn't say yes. But I didn't say no, either. I just asked her what she had in mind. I thought she was joking at first. Like maybe it was sarcasm. Haha, let's ruin their lives with dinner kind of thing. But Emily wasn't joking. Not even a little. She meant literally. Invite Matt and Lena over for a friendly little dinner. Smile. Laugh. Let them think things are fine. Then take the knife we'd buttered their bread with and plunge it right into the fragile little fantasy they'd built for themselves. Her exact words were, they think they're clever. Let's show them what real damage looks like. Over the next few days, Emily and I started planning. We didn't meet in secret parking lots or whisper on burner phones or anything dramatic like that. It was more depressing than dramatic, honestly. She came over one night with a flash drive and a manila folder. Inside, screenshots, printed photos, timestamp logs, bank statements, even screenshots of private notes from Lena's phone, apparently synced to her cloud without a password. All the ugly little moments they thought they could hide were now lined up in chronological order, like exhibits in a trial. But it wasn't until I saw the video that I stopped breathing for a second. It was a screen recording of a FaceTime call. Matt had called Lena one night, thinking Emily was asleep. In the video, Matt tells Lena he's working on getting a divorce soon, that she deserves better than Jake. And Lena says, I feel like I've been living two lives, but the one with you feels more real. They talked about getting a place together, a future. They talked about Christmas. I didn't cry. I didn't throw anything. I just sat there, numb, watching these two people, one of them my wife, plan a future while lying to everyone around them. Emily leaned back on my couch and said, now do you believe me when I say this isn't their first rodeo? I asked her what the plan was. She said we'd do it on a Friday night, 2 weeks from now. We'd frame it as a peace offering. Let's talk like adults. Let's fix this before it splits the whole family. Let's find closure. Lena would eat that up. She's always had a weakness for clean endings, for healing moments, for pretending you can cut clean through betrayal with one good apology and a bottle of red wine. And Matt loves to be the center of attention. He'd show up just to play the role of the guy trying to be noble, trying to own up to mistakes. They'd both come. They'd think they were getting off easy. 2 nights before the dinner, Lena came to me crying. I'd been sleeping in the guest room, barely speaking to her. She came in with this whole, I made a horrible mistake routine. Said Matt had meant nothing. Said it wasn't even about him. That she was just lost and lonely and needed to feel something again. She actually said, you've been distant. I wanted to laugh. I didn't. I just nodded and said we should talk more after the dinner. She smiled like that meant something. Friday night came. Emily brought the wine. I cooked. I still don't know why. It felt like a ritual, like a Last Supper. We lit candles, put on soft music. I even set the table like I used to when Lena and I first moved in together. Matt and Lena arrived right on time. He hugged Emily. She hugged me. I wanted to throw up. Dinner started casual. Small talk. Catching up. Emily told a story about a coworker who got locked in the office over the weekend. Matt laughed like nothing had ever happened. Lena reached for my hand under the table. I let her. Then, halfway through the second course, Emily stood up. She walked over to the TV, plugged in the flash drive, didn't say a word, and just hit play. The TV lit up with the photo of Lena and Matt at the hotel balcony, the one with his hand on her thigh. Next came the FaceTime call. The audio filled the room. You deserve better than Jake. This life with you feels more real. Matt froze, fork halfway to his mouth. Lena dropped her wine glass. Again, Emily just turned around, crossed her arms, and said, "Still feels real now." They didn't speak at first. You could actually hear the fridge humming in the background. That's how quiet it got. Lena tried to stammer out something, some pathetic, "I was going to tell you" excuse. Matt just sat there with his jaw clenched. I looked at them both and said, "This isn't an intervention. This is a funeral. You killed something. We're just here to bury it." Emily added, "And we wanted you to know what it felt like to be seen. Exposed. Shamed. You don't get to sneak away in the dark." They left pretty quick after that. Matt tried to puff up his chest on the way out. Said we were cruel for setting them up. That we should have handled it like adults. Emily said, "Adults don't sleep with their cousin's wife and lie about it for over a year." I'll never forget the way the door slammed behind them. It didn't feel victorious. It felt still, like the moment after a fire burns out, like the world hadn't quite come back online yet. So here's the thing no one tells you about revenge. When it's finally over, when the speech is made, the truth is out, and the liars are walking out your front door covered in the ashes of their own mess, it doesn't feel like some cinematic climax. There's no victorious music, no fist pump in the air, no high five between betrayed spouses. It just goes quiet, like the sound got sucked out of the room. And then, real life comes crashing back in. The night after the dinner, Lena tried to come back inside. I didn't let her. She stood in our driveway for almost 20 minutes, coat wrapped around her like a shield, pleading with me through the door. She wanted to talk about it. Said it got out of hand. Said it wasn't real, what she had with Matt. It was emotional confusion and unfinished feelings from the past. She said we were what was real, that I had to believe her. But she never denied the things on that screen. And that told me everything. I told her she could come in only to pack a bag. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't swear. I just stood there in the hallway and watched her go upstairs, still trying to cry her way out of it. She left that night. She didn't say goodbye. 2 days later, I filed for divorce. No dramatic announcement. No family group chat. Just a lawyer, a signature, and the quietest ride home of my life. I didn't text Emily. Didn't call her. I figured she had her own storm to deal with. Turns out, I was right. That same week, Matt's life imploded. Emily served him with divorce papers the next morning after our dinner. But she didn't stop there. She sent the screenshots to his company's HR. Not because she wanted revenge. Because Matt was using company cards to book trips for him and Lena, logging them as client travel. Turns out, that's fraud. Matt got suspended pending investigation. 2 days later, he was fired. That was just the start. Word got out fast. Family doesn't stay quiet. Especially our family. One of my uncles sent me a Facebook message saying, "Can't believe it. Always thought you and Lena were solid." One of Matt's brothers messaged Emily, "I knew something was off with him. You deserved better." My aunt, Matt's mom, called me and cried. Actual sobs. Said she was ashamed of him. Said she had no idea. It didn't make me feel better. It just made the hole feel deeper. Lena moved in with her sister for a while. Then eventually, I heard she moved in with Matt. That didn't last long. Apparently, two people built entirely out of lies don't do well under the same roof when the spotlight's off. They split 3 weeks later. Meanwhile, I kept my head down. I worked. I took long walks. I started sleeping better. I deleted our wedding photos from my phone. I left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter and never looked back. Emily and I saw each other once. Just once, after everything. We met at a small cafe a few blocks from her place. She looked lighter. Not happy, but unburdened. We didn't talk much about Matt or Lena. Mostly, we just sat there, quietly grateful for someone else in the world who understood what that kind of betrayal felt like. Before we left, I asked her something that had been sitting on my mind since that night. "Do you regret it? The dinner? The reveal?" She smiled, but there was no joy in it. Just truth. No, she said. They built a life on secrets. We just turned the lights on. It's been 7 months now. 7 months since that Thanksgiving dinner went up in flames. 7 months since Lena packed a bag and walked out of our house for the last time. 7 months since my cousin accused me of sleeping with his wife when the Real affair was sitting right next to me, pretending to be shocked. And people still ask me the same thing. Do you think you'll ever forgive her? Not even in a judgmental way. Just curious. Like forgiveness is some kind of finish line I'm supposed to crawl to. Like it's part of the script. Someone hurts you. You rage, you cry, and then eventually, ding, you forgive, and you both get to move on, clean and mature. But here's the thing. I don't want to forgive her. Not because I'm bitter. Not because I'm holding on. But because what she did was never just about cheating. It was about being someone else behind my back for years. It was about waking up next to a person who made me breakfast and smiled at me like everything was fine, while secretly planning a different life with someone I grew up with. It was about knowing how much that betrayal would wreck me, and doing it anyway, and then doing it again. And again, I've made peace with what happened. I've rebuilt parts of my life. I moved to a new apartment. I got a dog. I started working out more, eating better. I don't talk to Lena. At all. We didn't have kids. We sold the house. The split was clean, on paper. Emotionally, not so much. But that's the thing people never tell you. Sometimes, peace doesn't come from forgiveness. Sometimes, peace comes from letting the anger rot and fall off naturally, like a dead branch. And as for Matt, no one talks about him anymore. He moved states, tried to get another job. Last I heard, Emily was selling their old place and keeping the dog. She and I messaged once, a few weeks after everything settled. Just checking in. She said she was doing okay. She sounded stronger. We didn't keep talking. There's no romance in shared trauma, just recognition. The family never really recovered, though. Holidays are weird now. Some people took Lena's side. A few are still neutral. But once trust explodes like that in front of a dinner table full of people, you can't ever really sweep it under the rug again. It's like a scar in the shape of a turkey leg. I didn't go to Thanksgiving this year. Didn't go to Christmas, either. I spent the holidays in a cabin 2 hours north, just me and my dog. It snowed. I brought books. I made coffee and watched the fire. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was waiting for something bad to happen. I didn't write this for pity. I didn't write it for closure. I wrote it because I know someone out there is going through the same thing. You're questioning everything. You're wondering if you missed the signs, if it was your fault, if maybe, somehow, you deserved it. You didn't. Sometimes people just suck. Sometimes people who smile at you every morning are also the ones pulling the trigger behind your back. And sometimes, the only way to win is to walk away while the fire's still burning and never look back. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day, and trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.